dear influential leaders, it's Lenka and Alex here with yet another episode of the Influential Executive Podcast. And today we talked about communication, about how to make other people like you, respect you, what manipulation means, and how actually manipulation is a good word. How it is a good word with a good meaning. And what does that really mean? And is it really important to be authentic?
This episode is amazing for everybody who's in a leadership role, because so much of what we do as a leader is about communication that has nothing to do with our words. It has everything to do with our body and our behavior. And Mark Bowden, he is the world-leading expert in this field. Human behavior, body language. He's a keynote speaker and he founded Truthplane. And that's a communication training company that developed a methodology for anybody who wants to communicate with impact with an audience. How about you communicating with the people around you? This interview is full with huge insights and tips that you can apply immediately. And if you think, who's this Mark Bowden? Are his tips good enough for me? Well, he coached, for example, the Prime Minister of one of the G8 countries to prepare for a debate. So I'm sure when it's good enough for a Prime Minister, it's good enough for all of us. This episode, just like every other episode, is sponsored by Earn More, Work Less. We give superpowers to your team. Go to earnmoreworkless.com to find the 3 superpowers for team leaders, our free ebook. You can get it there right now. And that's it for now. Get ready for a fun and entertaining conversation with Mark Bowden. Brilliant. Mark, welcome. Thank you for joining the Influential Executive Podcast.
Well, my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. You're an expert in body language, communication, human behavior, and if I understood it correctly, you have already decided whether you like us or not.
Yeah, exactly. You're both great. You're both great. You got great smiles. You're very present. So I'm all in.
Oh, we passed the test. That's good.
Yeah, and just in case we can make you like us even more, what can we do to establish that?
Gosh, well, okay. So there's something interesting that happens with Skype calls, whereby you'd think there'd be a lot of connection, and there is, because I can see your faces and you can see mine, and the camera's pretty good, and I can see a lot of expression, and the sound is pretty good, so you can hear tonality of voice. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, the brain knows that you're in a different location from me. It knows that you're not like really here. I can't really touch you. Yeah? Yeah. And what the brain does in that situation is it goes, you're not from my land. And so then it goes, well, if you're not from my land, you're less trustworthy and you're not as intelligent as me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And the reason it does that is that my brain constantly has to work out, can I be trusted? How trustworthy am I? And am I smart? Am I clever? And so what it does is it looks around it all the time and goes, well, are those people in my location trustworthy, and are they intelligent? Because if they're trustworthy and intelligent, then I must be trustworthy and intelligent because we're from the same place. Mm-hmm. Now, in order to keep us at a high level, my in-group at a high level of trust and credibility, anybody not in our land has to be a little bit stupid and a little bit like they'll lie and try and get one over on us. So what we need to know all the time, and I think this is important for anybody leading teams, because a lot of people leading teams now, they're leading teams in multiple locations. Yeah. You know, they're not necessarily, even if you're bringing people into your office location on a regular basis, people want to work from their home office, just like me today. I'm at the home office today. So we need to find ways to mitigate the reality that happens in our brains, which is when we're not together personally, there is a little bit of a loss of trust and credibility. So here's one of the ways that we mitigate that is, or countermeasure it, is we have to trick the mind into thinking that we're in the same place. And the way I do it, and I did it with you guys today, was I say, so what's the weather over where you are? Okay. And then you tell me what the weather is. Yeah. And what I do is I'm very open to that. And I acknowledge that that's the weather. And I go, oh, good. Okay. And by acknowledging that that's the weather, your brain goes, oh, well, you must be in the same place. If you know that that's the weather here, then you must be in the same place. Or sometimes I'll say, so if you said, hey, you know, it's snowing here, you know, in the Netherlands, then I might go, oh yeah, no, it's snowing here as well. And that causes your brain to go, well, if it's snowing there, then you must be in the same place. Then therefore you must be really trustworthy and
clever.
Yeah. And maybe if you go, hey, it's snowing, but it's not snowing here, I would go, oh yeah, it snowed this time last year. Yeah. So even by going, hey, in my place, it snows sometimes, your brain goes, it's good enough. That's good enough. Clearly from my land. Anyway, I hope that's kind of interesting in terms of knowing, well, you know, what can we do over this Skype situation to have more trust and credibility?
I love this. And am I born like this already?
Yeah, you're already born like this because you're already you're a social mammal. I'm a social mammal. Okay, and so we're born social mammals, and as social mammals, it's really important that we have mechanisms installed already to help us group up, to help us be parts of groups. Because ultimately, me with my best idea will never beat you and your friends with a really bad idea. Because you'll get your bad idea built before I can get my good idea built. And as you're building your bad idea, you'll work out, you'll be going, God, this is never going to work. This is really bad. This is not going to work. And as you have a discussion with your friends around that, going, we're building this idea, but I don't think it's going to work out. One of your group will go, well, why don't we just make it a bit more like this? That would make it better. Well, meanwhile, I'm still at home on my own with no friends. I got a brilliant idea, but it's not being made into a physical thing. And so there is a massive advantage to being in groups, a huge advantage. A stupid group will win over a smart individual at most days of the week. I know it won't happen all the time. There are outliers to this, but if you were to gamble on this 100 times, you'd put most of your money on the stupid group winning over the smart individual, because the smart individual can get nothing of any scale done. So yeah, we're born with all this stuff.
And Mark, am I born with, like, I come from Czech Republic.
Oh
so
yeah.
I'm already born with that DNA of I will accept practically anyone as long as they come from Czech Republic, knowing every now and then we're all equally clever, or is it something that I'm being programmed into?
Yeah. So you already have the what we call the heuristics, the algorithms, the thinking processes in your head to know that you need to stick with your own kind. Okay. Now we know that is not a useful heuristic a lot of the time, especially in a very modern world. But understand that body and the brain you have, and the body and the brain that I have, it's only within the last, let's say, the last century even, that many of us have started moving 12 miles further than where we were ever born. It's like I live in a different country than I was born in. Most people don't do that. Most people don't do that. Most people actually don't know a vast array of people who are not from their original, let's call it tribe, their original physical location that they were born in. That's still, I would say, the majority of people. So you and I, we're both in potentially different locations than when we were born, and we're always having to manage that. I mean, I don't know how it is for you, but you know, you come across a lot of strangers, don't you? you go, why do they do it like that? And you know it when they're and have you? So you're from Czech Republic, you were saying, yeah? Yes. How quickly can you easily know you're approaching somebody from the Czech Republic?
Oh yeah, very quickly, from miles away sometimes.
yeah, like sometimes you know the facial features, you know the head, you know the movement, or they come and they say something, and you're like, okay, like so.
Indeed, you just see socks in sandals, and you know.
Yeah, exactly. So we have these tribal signifiers.
Yeah.
You can probably even tell rank as well in Czech Republic where they might be in social hierarchy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is really important. It's really important for human beings to know, where are you from my group or outside of my group? Where do you rank in the from my group? Because we want to know who's in control of certain resources. Because that's good for our survival. So our groups send out these signals, often unconsciously, all the time, as to who's most important, who owns what, and rules and has charge of what, and where are we from. And that's the business of the social mammalian brain, and we've all got one. And hopefully it's working, because if it isn't working, you're going to be in the realm of sociopathic. and that doesn't mean you'll die, but you won't get on well with many people, and your existence will be a little bit harder and a lot more lonelier than some people's existence.
I love how you view modern life, or where we are today, through the lens of how things were thousands of years ago. And genetically or by design, it makes a lot of sense. And now when you think of this office environment that many of us spend a lot of time in, and you picture a meeting, this sterile meeting room, a square box with some windows, a big table, and 6 of these social mammals in there. Now, what needs to occur in such a setting to produce anything of value?
Yeah, okay, really good question. So first of all, we got to recognize that we're social mammals in there, and we've got to know, first of all, even before we go there, we've got to know, so are we safe? Is this a place of risk, or is it a place of reward? And am I with people who are people of risk to me or reward to me? And our unconscious mind is checking that out all the time. In some cases, we have a history with people, even a social history with people, and we know, okay, these guys, I have a lot of meetings with them. I know their kind of behavior. I judge that there's never huge risk. And I might go, there's not much reward either. No risk, no reward. I'm a bit indifferent to this meeting. Or I go, I know these guys, there's a lot of reward about being around them. Hey, I'm quite excited about this meeting. Or I know these guys, there's a lot of risk around these meetings, and I'm a bit wary of this. So in order to, first of all, get really good meetings going, I would suggest on the whole, there could be some caveats to this, but you want to create a space which is one of safety. And I'm talking about like just basic safety of, do I feel threatened by the people in there, or do I feel rewarded by them? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, what's easy ways of doing that? So you'll notice as we're having this meeting here that a lot of the time I'm smiling at you. However, the interesting thing is about this meeting here in this space is there's a lot going on for me. There's technology in place. There's a lot to think about. It's difficult to relate here because you're over there and I'm here. So it's difficult for my brain to remember to smile and go, hey, this is a good experience. So look, I got this little guy above my camera here on a little post-it. It's a little sticky here, so it means it just sticks behind here, right above the camera, which means I'm looking at the camera right now, and there's this smiling face at me because when I look at the camera, I don't see your faces. Your faces are here.
That's
right. But your eyes are right here. So I've done a little trick there, what we might call a manipulation, in order to trigger you with this feeling that this is good and this is a safe environment for us today. And it's a trick because it's not naturally on my mind. I'm having to remind myself of this. But that's ultimately that's my job as a leader, as a manager, as being a part of this team and this group that we're in today. I've got to do whatever necessary to make this a great experience. So we come up with good ideas and we have a good experience and we want to do it again and have an even better time and a better experience. And life moves on in a pretty good way. So I guess back to that room, how can you make the room a great environment, a safer environment? Well, on the whole, open body language is really good. Yeah. So open body language that is more inviting. It's warmer as opposed to closed body language, which is less inviting, less warm. You're probably already finding that this is triggering you with a little more worry about our meeting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like I have to try a little harder now.
Right. And you're even, as you said that to me, and I was picking up your image, you did a disgust gesture there as well. It's like, I feel a little bit, disgust is an interesting word because it means disgustory. It actually means to vomit up. So it's, from gust, the digestive tract. Yeah. So your unconscious is kind of, so when it sees this person, your unconscious is going, I think that's poison. I think that that's not edible. Yeah, that's bad food. And when I do this more open body language, I'm more open in my face, and in this proximity, I'm relying less on the open body language and more on hitting your eye line and doing this smile. But again, you smile back immediately. But again, it's a manipulation because my brain is actually going, wow, there's such a lot going on. Can you really hear them well? Can they see you well? Is the microphone? There's so much technology in the way that, look, let me just show you what happens if I start to concentrate on the technology that's in the way. I'll now have our meeting together and I'll allow my concerns for the technology to take over now. Yeah, and can you notice how this is not as engaging anymore? Now I'm going to forget about the technology. I've set it up as best as I can, and I'm trying to now manipulate myself to just concentrate on you, and it's probably a better meeting now.
I'm fascinated by the word manipulation. I think it's good to kind of explain what do you mean by the word, and why do you say that you are manipulating? Yeah,
so I love the word manipulation because it's been, the original word comes from hands, mani, the Latin, I believe, for hands. The Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians, their god of language was the god Thoth, and they chose, who's a gibbon. And they chose the gibbon, legend says, because its hands were very similar to the human hands. And I think the Egyptians really understood, because they were some of the first civilizations to create quite a complex written down language. And they understood that ultimately language is a manipulation. It takes the world and it condenses it and moves it around, and expands it, and it monkeys around with it in order that it is a menu of the experience, but not the experience. You know, when I say the word dog, you get a picture in your head of a dog, but the dog doesn't exist. I just said the word dog. I just put sounds in an order and it triggered you into an understanding. That's pretty amazing. That's extraordinary. Now, the problem is it the dog I was thinking of?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Like I've got no, because I've got a little white dog in my head, like a little poodle.
Yeah, that wasn't mine. No, that wasn't mine.
No, it wasn't your dog. But now I've used more words. I've constructed and manipulated the world and your mind to get closer to mine. Now, what happened with the word manipulation, which literally, you know, means to take something physically and move it, is that became a bad word for some reason. Oh, they're manipulative, or they manipulated me.
Yeah.
And it became the bad word for when somebody changes your world in a negative way and they didn't tell you they were going to do that. So it becomes almost deceitful and crooked. Whereas we manipulate people all the time, consciously and unconsciously. Mm-hmm. And when it happens for their good, they often, like, they don't tell us. They don't go, "God, thank you for manipulating me," because things turned out so good. So good. That was great. Thank you so much for that. They don't. But when it turns out bad, they're like, to their friends, they're like, "You should watch out for him. He's very, very manipulative." So you know, maybe one of my crusades is to bring back a more general meaning of manipulation, and an understanding that we're doing it all the time, consciously and unconsciously. And sometimes it works out really well, and sometimes it works out really badly. And we should be a little more conscious of the manipulations that we do in the world. Because if we were more conscious of it, people would come up to us less afterwards and go, well, they'd come up less to us afterwards and go, "Hey, you manipulated me," and you'd go, "Did I? Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't mean to." You'd actually go, "Yeah, actually, I totally meant to. Totally meant to. I'm sorry it turned out badly. I didn't mean it to turn out badly. I hope to turn out." Or we'd go, "Yeah, actually, I did mean to. And it turned out badly for you. That was meant. It's meant to go badly for you. It's meant to go really well for them over there. Like, I favored them over you because I care more about them than I care about you. And so I manipulated the situation so resource would move from you to them because they're more important than you." That's what we call politics. So in politics, we're doing that all the time. We're going, yeah, they're more important than you, so we're taking resource from you and moving it to them. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to apologize to you because you didn't give me the vote. You didn't put me in power. I'm moving resources to the people who gave me the power. That tends to be political decision and political communication on the whole. Anyway, there we go. Manipulation. It's a good word. It's a good thing.
I'm just thinking, like, listening to you, I almost see no difference between the positive meaning of manipulation and influencing. For me, it comes down all to helping other people change behavior in a certain way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, helping people and helping them on purpose. Yeah, for something that will be better. It doesn't mean your help will be better for everybody. Sometimes you have to make choices, especially as a leader. Especially as a leader, you got to make choices. That's your job. That's part of your job.
Yeah.
As an executive leader, for example, is to go, I've listened to the arguments for this, and now I make the choice as to what to execute, knowing that when you move energy around, something loses. You don't create energy, you're moving it around all the time. So something's going to lose out. And I want to know what's going to lose out. So I know I've made a choice about that. So when people complain, hey, we lost out, as the executive, I'm able to go, yes, I know. Yeah, I know. That was the choice. That was the choice, is you lost. That's it, because not everybody can win everything.
Yeah.
That would be great if it were true, but that's what we call a utopia. And utopias that's why we call them like utopian dreams.
Yeah.
Utopias don't exist. Ultimately, dystopias don't exist as well. That's why they're called dystopian nightmares, is that dystopias don't exist. I would suggest what we're in right now is what we call a protopia, which is things actually get better. Things, over time, by increments, seem to get better. I mean, we're not, certainly where I am in Canada and where you guys are in the Netherlands, we're not in medieval times anymore, which is especially good in being in the Netherlands and not being in medieval times, because during medieval times in the Netherlands was really grim. That was pretty awful. Same with Czechoslovakia, same from Czech Republic. Terrible in medieval times. Terrible place to be. Look at you. You've got electric light, just like us here. Basically, you're living a miracle. You're living in an absolute miracle.
Yeah, we're living the miracle, yet still it is hard to be satisfied for many.
Yeah. It is hard to be satisfied. Well, I guess, we're not having to put in the work and the meaning into just going and gathering firewood and food. And, imagine, back when this body and this mind was originally created, what was most of our day involved with? Well, just the day-to-day stuff of just trying to stay alive, And you and I guarantee, I know this just by looking at you, and I know my own situation is I'm never going to worry today about where I'm going to get fresh water from. It comes from a tap. It's fantastic. It's a miracle. For this body and mind doesn't really think about it. But 100,000 years ago, most of its day would have been going, where am I going to get a fresh glass of, where am I going to get water? Glass? Wouldn't have had glass. There may have been some vessels of some sorts, but certainly glass wasn't on the horizon at that point. So this kind of miracle we're not having to contend with. So I guess, some of our modern dissatisfactions maybe come from trying to find stuff to be a problem. Got to find some problems for this thing to solve. This brain is an incredible problem solver, and lots of the stuff, certainly in it for you and for I, not for everybody not for all 7.6 billion people on the planet by any means, but for you and I, and for everybody listening to this podcast, because it means you've got some kind of technology, which means you're doing just fine. So we got to find some problems to solve, and I guess some of the time we're just making some up.
Very often
creating them. Anyway, cheers.
Cheers. I'm still a little bit stuck in my mind with that manipulation, and there's yet another word that popped up, and that's authenticity.
Yeah.
How am I authentic as long as I'm manipulating?
Gosh, yeah, I hope so. Yeah, absolutely.
So what makes me authentic?
It's your nature to manipulate. Why did you get these? Why would you need these if you weren't going to change the world?
Yeah. I'm just thinking, if I'm authentic, am I going to manipulate at the same time? Consciously, subconsciously maybe, but consciously. if I'm, let's say, if I'm having a team meeting and all of the people, they're cranky and I want to make them smile. But deep inside, I'm also not feeling really great.
Right.
So am I going to be authentic at that particular moment while trying to pretend as if I'm smiling and thereby help them smile? I'm just trying to figure out how those two words fit together and whether there is some kind of, something more explainable.
So what you've hit on there is you have a lot of choices as a leader in that situation. You've got a lot of choices. There's what's happening to you internally, which is you're not having a great day. There's the team aren't pulling together on this. There's you the individual having a bad day. There's your team not pulling together. Then there's your role and your job, which is to pull the team together. Yeah. Then there's the goal, which is, what that team is meant to do under your leadership, the result it's trying to get. And then there's the result that you're trying to get just in general in life. And all of these could come into conflict because on some days I might go, you know what, I'm just having a terrible day and I don't care about the goal. I don't care about it. My job is not as important as me right now. And some days you might go, you know what, the job and the goal is more important than me. So I'm not going to allow this, I'm having a bad day, to come out. I'm going to put on the behaviors that will pull that team together because we need to get a result here. Why do we need to get a result? Well, some of the teams that I work with, they're out there saving lives. They're running a hospital. It's like there's them having a bad day and there's, kids dying. So that might come into play. Well, shouldn't they be just authentic and walk around the ward going, there's a kid, with bone cancer, how you do. Actually, I don't care about you. I'm in a really bad day. That's authentic. That's honest. Why can't they be honest? Yeah. Why can't they be honest with how am I doing? Well, the last kid I saw died. It's probably going to happen to you. Isn't that authentic? Isn't that being honest? Isn't that being true? No, that's being antisocial. That's being nasty and antisocial. So there isn't, the devil's in the detail, and the world is a really complex place. And one of my problems with authenticity is it's this massive ideal. It's a utopia. And it's a dream. It doesn't exist. What exists is the trickiness and the minutiae of trying to deal with a very complex situation where you've got what you want, they've got what they want. There's you, the individual. There's you within the social group. There's being kind. There's being kind to you and kind to them, and finding the balances around that. And I think just going through life going, I am going to be authentic. Well, number one, if you say, the person that comes up to me and goes, well, because I'm a really authentic person, the moment they've said that, I'm like, well, you have done zero introspection then. Zero introspection. Because if you'd really kind of looked at yourself, you realize that you lie to you and you lie to yourself and you lie to others and you're lying to all of us right now by going like, I'm totally authentic. And then the moment they look at you and go, well, I think you're not being authentic with me. It's like, how would you know? Like, that's okay. Good guess. Go and guess about something else, more interesting than whether you think I'm being authentic. Like, I might know that, but you're never going to know that. You'll know whether you like me or dislike me. And maybe what you did was what I would call authenticity shaming, which is when somebody doesn't like you, instead of going, I just don't like you. I don't like your ideas. I don't like your attitude. I don't like the way you dress. They go, well, I'm not quite sure you're being authentic.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, oh, right. Because you're not authentic enough to go, Mark, I just don't like you and your ideas. And here's why. and then go, and here's why, because I've really thought about it. Yeah. So, yeah, you get this authenticity shaming happening all over the place from the most sometimes well-meaning and woke people. you got super woke person strolling around the earth, pointing out people. Yes, inauthentic, authentic. It's like, you just don't like that one. It's like, you don't know. You don't have superpowers. You can't read people's minds. It's like, nobody can. I've really looked at this, and it can't be done. So anyway, there's my thing about authenticity. I just think we probably have to be a better way of looking things is how helpful are we being, how socially are we being, how happy are we right now, contented are we right now, are we pushing ourselves?
Yeah.
How uncomfortable is it when we push ourselves? Should we push ourselves more and get into more discomfort because there's a bigger goal out there? Because often this idea of authenticity, again, it's somebody's really talking about their own comfort. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't really want to do that because that doesn't feel authentic to me. Oh, well, you just want to be safe and comfortable, don't you? Because that's you just don't want, or you don't want the goal enough. Well, I didn't go and do that. It didn't feel authentic. So that's why I didn't achieve that goal. Didn't feel, the route to it didn't seem an authentic route. Well, probably it was just too hard. Probably it was just too hard, and you didn't want the pain, and you didn't like the pain of it. And probably what we should do is do some work on you getting comfortable with pain, because to get somewhere always has barriers. I've been having a look at how life works, how the universe works, and here's the way it could work. In the utopian place of how it would work, here's what would happen. You just think of a life that you want and things that you want, and they just appear, because there would be no barriers in the way between your thoughts, your desires, mm-hmm. and the physical and spiritual world. It would just happen. I would really want to be happy. Boom, you'd be happy. Or I really want, a banana right now. Boom, it would. Fantastic, a banana. That doesn't happen. Well, why doesn't it happen? Well, because there's barriers in the way, and when we get what we desire, we overcome the barriers. That's all. Some barriers are massive, and some people get through them and over them and circumnavigate them. They find a way. Some people don't. Some people don't find a way because getting through the barriers are too painful, and they back off of the discomfort, the work involved. Some people stumble over I just tripped and fell over the barrier, and it was like, the barrier wasn't that high. Actually, the barrier was in my mind rather than actually being there. There's lots of ways people get what they want, but ultimately, you've always got to go through some barriers to get it.
That was extensive.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So you ask a question, and I may keep on going and not stop.
Well,
I like it. It gives lots of perspective.
Yeah, and I love that you speak about how the universe works, because ultimately, we are all here born into this planet, and we all have no clue what's going on.
For sure. Yeah.
We have some questions when we're 4, we don't get a satisfactory answer, and then we just forget about it for the rest of our lives. But there are rules to how all of this stuff works. So I love that you bring this up, because you can play the game without knowing the rules, and no matter how hard you try, you're always going to run into failure and a lot of discomfort. Now, here's something I would love your view on. It's our personal observation in the business world. Our observation is that pretty much everybody lives in a state of stress.
Mm-hmm.
So that means hurrying, constantly busy, wanting to work on the next thing while still working on the previous thing, working off a checklist rather than being consciously present in each moment, and consciously designing what the future will look like. And we see that this is the norm, not the exception. And it's really hard to like get a foot in the door, help people to stop, take some distance and think and redesign the way the work is done. What are your observations in this respect? What is happening here from a human behavior point of view? And how can we apply communication to stop this madness and start being more effective with what we have?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, really good. Good observation and good question. Because look, there's going to be outliers out there where, you know, people already will have said in their head, yeah, but, you know, now and again, I'm not on the move, and yeah, but I know this person and they're really cool, and so let's just say, look, you're right, and there will be outliers to that, but we do as human beings, certainly now, I don't know about in the rest of history or in the future, but certainly now there does seem to be that feeling of always being moving on to the next thing, never in the place that we are. I think it's a Yoda quote from Star Wars, in fact, about Luke. There's a lot of kind of Zen embedded into the Star Wars writing. Anyway, well, I think there's I guess what are some of the techniques that can help you remedy some of that if it seems useful? Because I think sometimes it's really useful to move on to the next thing, and some minds are really good at that. Yeah, and just getting stuff done. Certainly that's kind of what my mind often wants to do, is just like go, oh, let's not think about it anymore. Let's just do something, like get it done, test it, see whether our best, you know, our best thinking at the time, our good enough thinking can create something good enough to move us forward. And that's a certain kind of mindset. And hopefully, you know, team leaders out there listening to this have got some of that thinking within in the teams that they're working with. It's a good style of thinking to have. Maybe they as leaders have that kind of thinking as well. Do they also have the kind of thinking in their teams and in themselves that can say, let's just hold back right now. In fact, let's just stop. Let's just stop, breathe, think some more. So just breathing is a good thing. Just stopping and breathing and allowing that breathing to fill the brain with some oxygen, so you might be able to have some more thoughts before you get back into, okay, let's move forward. This happens a lot in negotiation as well. I'm sure people watching, listening have been in many negotiations and understand that one of the great techniques of good negotiation is called slow it down, which is you don't want to get steamrolled by negotiation and get into a very quick flow of getting stuff sorted out. You want to slow it down, take more time, because you want to make sure you're getting what you need, they're getting what you need, the bigger picture is getting what it needs. So there's a good negotiation going on, because ultimately you're probably going to have to get back in the room with people again many, many times to negotiate with them other things as well. You're part of the social system. You're not trying to manage and deal with somebody once. Hopefully you're setting yourself up to be able to manage and lead them several times. So can you slow it down? Can you breathe? And so you've got to think about what is the body of stop or slow down and what is the body of movement. Because often when we're sat still, we're still in this body of moving forward.
Yes.
And nobody, yes, I know nobody got up and went, but the ideas are just getting away from everybody, and it's all moving forward too quick. And you got to think to yourself, okay, how do I get the room more still? How do I get the room to slow down? How do I even get us to stop right now? And so think about the movement and the body language you have when you're stiller, when you're more relaxed, and can you do it on purpose, like a switch? Go from this movement that you might have in this meeting where it's steamrolling forward and you're now realizing the ideas are getting away from you and you're not critically thinking anymore, and just go, okay, I'm gonna keep on talking to my team. but I'm going to breathe more. I'm going to slow everything down. And I'm going to now start involving words around slow down and thinking by saying, okay, let's just pull back right now. Let's just slow down a touch. Think really carefully. So what I'm starting to do now is internalize. My eyes are dropping down. So I'm not like super engaged with you and eye contact and up and energetic. My eyes go down towards me. And now I start to make more gestures around my head working. So I'm trying to give people the images of me slowing down and thinking so they'll copy that as well. And probably you can feel it as well in your body language and behavior. So I think some of the solutions, you know, just because I'm obsessed with body language and behavior, most of my solutions come down to how can you do the behaviors on purpose that you'd usually do naturally when you're getting the kind of results that you want. So I guess, you know, one of the things you can do just generally is think about the kind of results you want more of, and then think, well, how do I behave when I'm before and as I'm getting those results? And why don't I just do more of those behaviors more of the time? Because chances are I'd just trick the universe into giving me that result a lot more. Like stuff I wouldn't literally trick it to producing a banana out of thin air, but I just get into those patterns, all the other things that would happen that end up giving me a banana in my hand. Yeah. You know, I'd end up, you know, at a supermarket more with money in my pocket, you know, for a banana. I'd ask for a banana more, you know, in the right place where they have them. Because you got to, number one, you got to ask, but in the right place where they're stocked with these things. The amount of people who aren't getting what they want, and it's like, are you going to the right? Because I keep saying it. I keep saying it. It's like, yeah, but you're saying it in completely the wrong place. You're saying it over there. They're over there. They can't hear you. They can't hear you over there.
Even if you have a big smile on your face and you're at the wrong place, they will still go to the back and get you a banana.
Right. Sure. Yeah, you're doing it with the right feeling around you, because do people want to help you? Because if you're asking for a banana in the wrong place, but you've got the right air around you, somebody will go, yeah, you're in totally the wrong place. But you know what? I've got a couple of minutes. I'll run and get you one. Right. This is amazing. I completely messed this up, but because I've got the right atmosphere around me, the right, you know, the right feeling, people are helping me out. This is great. No, you're exactly right.
Oh, you're right. He likes to hear that.
Yeah, I never get it from her, so thank you.
Even true.
I'm glad you're being honest and authentic on this.
Very, very authentic. We're gonna talk about it later. So, Mark, who do you help to? No, you completely get me out of my question. I wanted to ask, who do you usually work with?
Sure. So, well, first of all, I work with people all over the world. So I'm in Toronto right now, which is my base, but I work with people all over the world. And those people would, on the whole, I would suggest be groups, teams, individuals, at all kinds of levels. So, you know, I'll work with entrepreneurs just starting out. I'll work with CEOs of Fortune 500. I'll work with politicians who might be just starting out to ones who literally run countries. I'll work with teams who are selling a product that's been around for centuries, or teams that are selling something new, especially leadership teams as well, people who are new to it, people who've been doing it a long time. But what's the thing that is the same for everybody? I would suggest everybody has hit some kind of barrier. Mm-hmm. They've gone, look, I knew how to get it done here, but I want to get it done bigger, somewhere else, faster, with a new team, with a new product, with a new electorate, I want to move my position. I kind of know what I'm doing, but I want to do it over here. And there's something that they feel they don't know. And either that is true, they don't know it, there is a barrier, or there's a perceived barrier. And that's okay. I don't mind which one. Both need to be solved. And they know that if they improved their communication, especially through the non-verbal, what they presented themselves or how their teams presented themselves, if that could change to the right presentation, they believe they'd get the results that they want. And so that's what I help them with. And it's specifically around this, how they stand out, how they win trust, and how they gain credibility with the behavior that they present to other people. Because if you don't stand out, if you're not seen, they're not listening for a start. Doesn't matter how good your message is, they haven't even seen you, then you're not on their radar. You might be in the room with them, but they're not looking at you. You might be in the room with you and they're looking at you, but their mind is somewhere else. Yeah, they're pretending to listen to you. So first of all, we need to get true engagement with the people who need to be engaged. Then trust needs to be there. We need to trigger them with that sense of trust, and then we need to trigger them with that sense of credibility. And that's the work that I do.
Yeah, so that's slightly like like trust in marketing. It's very similar to that, I would say. So do you have some basic tips on how can I, throughout my behavior, my body language, make other people like me?
Sure. So a couple of fundamentals. First of all, you need to be seen. So the more you show of yourself and the more often you show yourself, the more chance that others will get data about you, and that they'll get the data that puts you into that trustworthy category. If you're not sending often enough data, you're just limiting your chance. And we're in a bit of a casino. Okay, we're in a casino with 7.6 billion people in that casino, and how are you going to get seen? Well, you need to be sending out data enough times and enough of it to even stand a chance of getting in the right category. And well, how does that tactically translate? Are you showing up enough in front of the people you need to influence and persuade, win credibility with and trust? Are you showing up and displaying enough of yourself? Or are you always trapped behind furniture? And because you might go, yeah, no, because I'm in the office every day with them. I mean, they pass by me every day. Well, but what do they see of you? Well, they pass by, they see my back every day. Like, okay, so they're not seeing, like, you need to find ways of showing them this and this, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
So this is a fundamental, problem. People will say, well, no, I did meet the person. I did meet her once and we did have a bit of a conversation, and clearly I just didn't make the right impact. It's like, well, try again, go again, just do it again. And they'll go a second time. Yeah, still no impact. Right. Go again. Do it again.
Persistency.
Yeah, I mean, persistence. And then we can go, okay, and when you go again and again and again and send that message, be really open with your body language. Yeah, be more open instead of closed. Yeah. This is, again, we're in a casino. The gamble is that open body language will give you a better result in terms of trust and credibility than closed body language. Yes, there's some outliers you're already thinking of, and you're going, well, there's this person. She always does that, and she runs the organization. Yeah, she runs the organization. I mean, everybody thinks that she owns their paycheck, and therefore they're allowing her to get away with that. That's why, but you don't. So you're not at that level of the hierarchy. So what applies to her doesn't apply to you. The devil's in the detail. It's more complex than that. We need to cut through the complexity with simple things. Here's a simple thing. Do open body language. Lots. Yeah, well, what else should I do? No, just do that. What, all the time? Yeah, all the time. How often? As much as you possibly can.
Yes.
So, persistent signaling. Yeah. So I think, SETI, the astronomical telescope, has been trying to contact aliens for a number of years. See if they can get a signal back from alien life out there. Keep sending the same signal again and again and again and again and again. They haven't changed the signal. They've not changed the signal. Why? Yeah. They're in a really long game. Well, they're trying to do something really big, which is get a message back from alien life. Okay, it's a big idea. They haven't changed the message. They're persistent. Now, will they get a message back? I don't know. Will it happen in my lifetime? I have no idea. But their gamble is send it, and they've got a massive transmitter. I mean, they're sending out huge megawatts of power out there with the same message. You kind of got to do the same, which is use a lot of power, send out the message again and again and again and again, because you're not looking for alien life. It's a human being on the other side. They will react. They will react if it's clear and persistent. You will get a signal back, and if it's open, the gamble is you'll get a good signal back. I know there's outliers. Okay, I know everybody's going, yeah, but there's this one guy. You send him a signal, he sends a really rude signal back. Yeah, it's one guy. One guy. Yeah, it's just an outlier. Yeah. Anyway, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that was really good. we want to be conscious of your time. So I have one very important question to ask.
Good.
For everybody listening right now thinking, that Mark guy, what he says makes sense. I want to hear more from him. I want to receive more signals from Mark.
Right. I will tune you into my transmitter. I'm transmitting signals from a website called truthplane.com, Truthplane, truthplane.com. Just get over to there. Or if that doesn't make any sense to you, just put Truthplane in Google, or Mark Bowden in Google, or Mark body language.
Mark body language.
And I'll come up. Put in body language and you'll find me. I mean, just do that. If you want to remember something, or in the show notes, think of something where you can get some training from me for free. Really great video training. Remember bit.ly, bit.ly/winning keynote, all one word, bit.ly/winning keynote. Get over there. There's some free training there that I give to everybody who sees one of my keynotes. Let's just pretend this was like you were at a keynote. Okay. So everybody listening, watching to this, if you get yourself over there, there's some free training for you there. Enjoy it. It's 20 minutes. It's a great video training. It'll give you all the fundamentals about the body language you use, especially in business as a leader. So get over there.
Super powerful. It's really cool. I don't have any other questions, Mark.
Good.
I would have plenty of other questions.
Yeah.
To be honest, I could be here like a whole day.
Well, I could speak for a whole day, but as you could probably imagine. But I'm happy to come back and talk to you guys again sometime. So just let me know. I'm happy to join you in another conversation.
Very cool. Lovely. How did you like the conversation?
Very good. Yeah, lovely interview. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So did we. Thank you very much.
Wow, what an exciting episode. It was so energetic. I definitely recommend everyone who did not see the YouTube video to go and see Mark's eyes. It was really engaging, and I just love the way how he expresses himself, and how he even helped us to calm down and get stress-free just by slowing down. And I can relate to that, because I remember I still speak rather fast, but I spoke even faster, and the moment For those who know my story, you know I burned out, and it was the moment when I was very stressed, and Alex always told me, just slow down, just speak slower, you will have the time to think about the words you use and people will understand you. And as a result, I definitely got less and less stressed internally. So I really love that advice. And I also love the fact that all Czech people are per definition smarter than anyone else. So it helped a lot.
Make sure that you stay in touch with Mark. His website, truthplane.com. It's going to be in the show notes. He's on Twitter @Truthplane. And we also looked up his giveaway online training. So that is bit.ly/winning keynote. So there you go, Mark Bowden, human behavior, body language, communication. These are your superpowers for you as a leader, for your team, to achieve more with less time, effort, less energy. This was it. Episode sponsored by Earn More Work Less. Go to earnmoreworkless.com for a lot of cool resources, our blog, other podcast episodes. earnmoreworkless.com. Superpowers for your team. See you next time.